They say the human mind can endure isolation, that it can adapt to silence, darkness, and loneliness. But that's a lie, because there are places on this earth where silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of something that shouldn't be there. In the far north of Alaska, beyond the last marked trails and past the last trembling trees, lies a place so still, so unnaturally quiet, that even the animals avoid it. A long, frozen valley with walls as sharp as broken glass and shadows that stretch farther than they should. Locals call it the Screaming Valley, not because it screams, but because people do. Our story begins in January of 1979, when 5 hikers, Daniel, Mark, Lewis, Eric, and Sarah, all experienced, all confident, all certain they were prepared for anything, set out on a winter expedition across the Alaskan wilderness. They wanted beauty, solitude, adventure. But from the moment they approached the valley, something felt wrong. The air grew heavier. The snow looked untouched, as if nothing had ever dared to walk there. Even the sun seemed dimmer, its light thin and watery. As they entered the valley, Sarah froze mid-step. She felt something, not a sound, not a breeze, but a sensation, like the valley was aware of them. She kept it to herself. That first night, the temperature fell to levels none of them had ever experienced. The fire refused to stay lit, sputtering weakly as if the air itself resisted warmth. They laughed at first, trying to ignore the unsettled feeling creeping along their spines. But laughter doesn't last long in places where the world feels hollow. Around 3 a.m., Lewis heard it. A faint voice, somewhere between a whisper and a cry. He sat up, heart pounding, eyes wide in the dark. The voice sounded close, too close, but when he peeked through the tent flap, all he saw was white emptiness. He woke the others. They listened. Nothing. They dismissed it. A dream, they said. But the valley wasn't done with them. The next morning, they discovered prints circling their campsite. Small, barefoot prints, almost childlike. The snow showed no trail in or out, just the circle. Eric photographed the tracks, shaking his head. "Whatever did this," he said quietly, "never walked here. It just appeared." That night, the wind changed. It didn't howl, it spoke. The voices came slowly, drifting across the valley like fog. At first, just a murmur, then words, then names. Mark's name, spoken in the exact voice of his dead brother. Mark snapped. He ran out into the darkness with a flashlight, shouting into the wind, begging for his brother to answer. The others chased him, but the darkness swallowed him whole. No footprints, no sound, no body, just silence, thick, suffocating silence. The valley had taken its first. The next morning, something strange happened. Eric's camera, which he had left zipped inside his pack, was open. The film was removed, torn into strips, and laid neatly in a circle on the snow, around Eric's sleeping spot. They packed quickly. They were leaving, but the valley wasn't finished. As they hiked out, the voices followed them like shadows. Women crying, men whispering, children laughing in clipped, unnatural bursts. Sometimes the whispers weren't outside, but inside their heads. Sarah shoved her fingers in her ears until they bled. Still, she heard them. Lewis vomited into the snow. He said he felt like someone was walking behind him, breathing softly against his neck, but when he turned around, no one was there. At sunset, the sky turned an unnatural shade of red. Not the warm red of twilight, but a deep, heavy crimson, like the color of frozen blood. Long shapes moved across the ridge, silhouettes that did not match any animal known to man. When night fell, Daniel woke up to the sound of someone sobbing outside his tent. A woman. She sounded broken, desperate. The kind of cry that makes you want to help, even against your better judgment. Daniel unzipped the tent slowly. A figure stood a few feet away, black, motionless, its arms hanging unnaturally long, touching the snow. Then it spoke, with Mark's voice. Daniel screamed and stumbled back. The figure dissolved into the darkness like smoke being pulled away by an unseen hand. When the others rushed out, Eric was missing. His footprints led a few meters away from the camp, then stopped abruptly, as if he had stepped into the air and vanished. 2 gone, 3 left. By now, the valley seemed to pulse with a heartbeat of its own. Every echo felt intentional, every gust of wind felt like a whisper, every shadow felt like a watcher. On the 6th day, Sarah collapsed. "They want us," she cried. "They want us to listen. They want us to follow." Lewis tried to calm her, but she stared past him, eyes unfocused, locked on something only she could see. That night, Daniel heard Eric's voice calling for help from the tree line. He knew it wasn't real. He knew Eric was gone. But hearing a familiar voice in a place where no human voice should exist breaks something inside a man. When dawn arrived, Daniel and Sarah were gone. No footprints, no signs of struggle, just their belongings, neatly arranged, as if they had willingly handed themselves over to whatever lived in that valley. Lewis was alone. He recorded everything in a handheld device, his breathing, the voices, the strange phenomenon happening around him. He wandered through the valley barefoot, delirious, whispering warnings to no one. Rescuers found him 3 days later, frostbitten and half-conscious. The only thing he carried was the audio recording labeled "Do Not Play." When experts listened, they found more than voices. They found patterns, layers, something that sounded almost intelligent, as if the valley wasn't echoing human voices, but learning them. Lewis never recovered. He never spoke again, and the valley remains untouched. A place where the silence has weight, where the wind has memory, where the shadows bend the wrong way, and where the dead do not stay quiet. So, if you're ever alone in the wilderness and you hear someone you know calling your name, someone who shouldn't be there, someone who can't be there, don't answer, don't turn around, and above all, do not follow the voice, because some places don't want your body, they want your echo.